What's up, YouTube? I'm back with another video, and I was sitting here. I have a huge ass back catalog, right? Because I have a bunch of games on Steam, and I'm sitting here trying to figure out what to play. And you have some games that you play with the homies, some games you play by yourself when they're not on or they're at work or whatever. I was looking, and I'm playing PC. I bought the Spider-Man PS5 for Spider-Man 2, and I have not touched this game since Spider-Man 2 came out in October. Like, this has been a fucking paperweight, right? I've just been playing a bunch of like indie games, and like been playing Borderlands 3 with the homies and playing Batman with mods. And right now the landscape of AAA games are just dry as fuck. Okay, they're boring because they either go in two directions. They either go the PlayStation over the shoulder slow walking gameplay, or it goes the Ubisoft massive open world with so much content that you get bored of it in an hour, or you get overwhelmed. What sucks the most is the games that are turning into the over the shoulder PlayStation things are games that were different literally like 5 years ago. So like, for example, when God of War 2018 came out, they did a new camera angle to make it more cinematic and a closer story with this one track camera angle, and it kind of took away from a lot of things that made God of War, like the cinematic angles, like the big set pieces where you're like the massive scale, like that's not here anymore. It's more of a close-up type of camera, and they refined the gameplay of it in like God of War Ragnarok and God of War Valhalla. It still feels like it's missing that piece of the massive gameplay. And then don't tell me the hack and slash genre is boring and that they couldn't do any more sequels without, with the same gameplay, because it'll get boring. Bayonetta and Devil May Cry and shit like that, like those games are hack and slash games that's been going on for years, and they stay the same with improvements. It's not saying you don't have to improve, it's just why change what made this gameplay special in this series special to something that everyone is doing. And so the past few years, it's just been the AAA games has been boring as fuck, if I'm being honest here. It's either a bunch of remakes like Resident Evil 2 or 3 or 4 or Dead Space, or it's basically a sequel to an already existing IP. And it kind of continues with what I said in my previous video, with video games are going down a path of like massive budgets and they're not getting their money back, and it's going down a road that they can't like keep up. It's unsustainable, and it really reflects that because they're afraid to take risks because their budgets are so big. I understand. Like, let's be honest here. Someone walks up to you and says, "Hey, I'm gonna give you $400 million, right?" And you have two options: either invest it into GTA 6 or invested into Naughty Dog's new IP. Which one are you putting your money into to make the most money back? You're obviously gonna pick GTA 6. It makes sense, isn't it? It makes sense because everyone's afraid of failure because how much money they're putting into it. But on the other hand, it's really like messing with the quality of the games, where like everything's the same color palette. It's like, bro, I'm bored at this point. You play one PlayStation exclusive, you played them all. You play God of War 2018, you played The Last of Us, you played Horizon Zero Dawn at that point. It's like, I am bored of especially like when you play these games after you beat them for the first time. Like when I play Uncharted 4 or when I've beaten God of War Ragnarok, I don't want to go back and replay these games because there's so many parts where you're just walking and talking where it's like, oh my god. Or the Atreus sections is like, bro, I don't want to play this anymore. I don't care about this whole section of a game, and you can't skip forward because the gameplay is you're walking and you're talking and you're slowly fighting through this area for 2 hours. And it's like, all right, bro. At this point, I don't even want to replay the game. So after you play it one time, you don't pick it up again, And it would make a lot of sense if it was variety, where it's like you can have these story-driven games where the gameplay is that, if you have these other AAA games that come out where it's like a AAA hack and slash. Let's say God of War never became the 2018 version with the camera, but it became like the regular God of War. That would be a nice palette swap that compared to what it is now. It's like I put it like eating candy. When you're a kid, if you had what you always wanted, like non-stop candy, at a certain point you're like, I'm tired of tasting candy, I want to eat actual food. Like, that's where we're at right now. We're just fed non-stop candy, non-stop bubble gum and Jolly Ranchers, where it's like, damn, like, can I get a Can I get some mashed potatoes and some, you know what I mean? Can I get some home cooking for once? I don't want to eat kid no more. I don't want to eat Starburst no more. You know, it's becoming more and more boring. Now there has been some games that have came out that are like dope, but I wouldn't consider most of them like AAA games. Like Deathloop, that was a good game, but I wouldn't consider that AAA. You have like the Doom, like that was like a huge change of pace when that came out, because it's like different. Hopefully with Baldur's Gate 3 winning Game of the Year, it really shows the industry like, yo, you can do these different types of gameplay styles and stuff like that, and they will be critically and fan wise like acclaimed, and people will go and buy these games, you know. Hopefully with the success of Baldur's Gate 3, it shows that there are a lot of money and change and variety in the gaming industry. With the amount of content that it gives you for the price point and the amount of stuff that you can do is so different, and it being like an RPG. Like a lot of people who never even touched like D&D type stuff and RPGs bought this game. Like my friends who like, even it's like coworkers that I wouldn't suspect playing this game that usually stick to like Call of Duty and Madden and stuff like that, picked Baldur's Gate because the amount of people that were talking about it was like, yo, this game is fire. Like I made my dude, and he's like, you know, he's like a monkey, he's fucking people up, and it's like, it's dope as hell. Like, so there is money there with variety and change. It's just got to be done well, you know what I mean? Don't put out some bullshit. Like even Alan Wake, like that is a weird story type thing, but people enjoy it. It's still a third-person shooter, but you know what I mean? It's like, I'll take what I can get. That's why I'm kind of concerned for Wolverine, because I'm not even basing it off the leaks. I'm basing it off Insomniac itself, and it feels like they're going to go the same direction of like a close-up third-person hack and slash, which I don't want. And it's funny when people bring that up, they're like, how are you complaining that the gameplay for Wolverine is a mimic of the God of War 2018, but the X-Men Origins Wolverine was a mimic of God of War, the first trilogy? And it's like, those are totally different gameplays. Like, one, we prefer the original trilogy gameplay to this gameplay anyway. That's what I'm saying, is it's better in every way. If you want something where it's like a large scale, you feel like Wolverine hacking and slashing, why not pick the gameplay that suits that than a slower close-up gameplay? You know what I mean? Obviously what we saw in the leaks isn't the final product, but based off what it is like, it's still going to be that close-up gameplay. And the people who were trying to defend that was like, oh well, 2018 gameplay is actually an evolution of the first trilogy's gameplay, and it's just you're mad because you don't want games to evolve. Like, you're just it's not what we want at all. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, people just love just chatting, man. People love chatting because you disagree with the point that they're talking about. Hell, my favorite games for the past couple years have been like indie games, like Cult of Lamb, that was gas. Hi-Fi Rush was also amazing. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge was dope as fuck, okay? All that shit was fire. Like, obviously Baldur's Gate, like that shit was like gas. Like, and people loved Elden Ring, which was a break from the norm. But hopefully in the future we see a change in the gaming industry where there's like different games and variety that comes out more, because this third person over the shoulder shooter slash slasher, like hack and slasher, is not working, man. I wish more games like Ratchet and Clank got the support that it deserves, instead of being left to the wayside to become a Marvel studio and Insomniac. But we'll see. Or like It Takes Two, another game that I wish more and more people would give their flowers to, because it just breaks away from the norm, you know. But that's all I got. Let me know down below. Let me know what y'all think about the current state of the gaming industry, and I'll see y'all later, man.